Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing? Hopefully, you can hear me okay. I understand the music in the background wasn't playing for some reason, but that's okay. We are here, we are live, answering your questions. Oh, my Lego box is in the way. Let's move the Lego box out of the way. Hang on one sec. Yeah, oh, good. There we go. Just trying to get organized. I'm going to put the fan on. Let me know if it's too loud and annoying. Hopefully, everything's okay on YouTube front. I know the past couple of weeks, YouTube's been a bit iffy with its latency. So do let me know how you're thinking about that. Okay. Whew, how are we all doing? So welcome to our weekly question time. A show primarily designed around answering your questions about Unreal Engine 5, game dev, or anything you really want to know about at all. Opinions on things, literally it's your chance to ask anything you want. All you do is put your questions into the chat and try and grab as many questions as we can during the live stream here. We probably might go for a little bit longer today. We'll see. But hopefully everyone's doing okay. And well, that was cold. Doing well. Sorry for the slight delay getting started. I'm just putting the kids up to bed. It's always fun. Real time Fatman, are you looking forward to Borderlands 4? Yeah. Kind of. I think the problem with Borderlands is if you played Borderlands 2, you've played Borderlands 3. If you played Borderlands 3, you've played Borderlands 4. So they don't try and really reinvent the wheel a bit. Which is a shame because that is a IP which I felt like held a lot of promise and could have been like. I mean, for all its faults, it could have been like that sort of style's Destiny. Like I'm adamant that they should have just let you pick your own and build your own classes rather than giving you 4 dedicated ones each sequel. Like the Borderlands would have been a cool MMO light Destiny type game. But alas, they're not going that route. They're doing some weird stuff with it. Yeah. That's not beer, it's Coke. So I don't really drink really. Hi Ryan, I'm still UE4 trying to get my game to detect what input device is being used on startup for UI stuff. I know UI5 handles input differently, so I just wanted to ask if you've covered this already. Cool. Now I haven't used Unreal 4 for a long time now, so I can't remember what's in there and what's not in there. I don't think there's any immediately straightforward way like it is in UE5. For those who want to know in UE5, at least, this is how you do it with UE5. Let's say we go into the game mode, for example. You do it anywhere. And you do get enhanced. Oh, spell it correctly. Input subsystem. And then you can get the how's it called? Device. No, oh crap. What was it called? Oh no, not input system. Oh, it might be on the thing. Get input device subsystem. So I can't remember if it's in UE4 or not, but you're looking for this input device subsystem, and then from there you can get the device ID. Input device ID, input device hardware identifier, that one, or get most recently used input device ID. Either one, totally cool. And what you do is you get this structure out, and you can break it open. You can see what it contains. Oh no, not that one. Device identifier. Yeah, this one. Sorry. You break it open and you can get like the name of it. So for Xbox, you'll get I'll just show you. You get like X input for Xbox controller, P input for PlayStation controller, KBM for keyboard and mouse. Yeah, you get that sort of stuff. So yeah, let me just show you print string, and I'll just put the hardware device identifier in there. And I'll put the controller on as well. So you see here it's a keyboard and mouse, KBM. But if I've got a controller like this, and I move this, click first, and it should give me the controller. Why didn't it give me the controller? Home. You may have to do the get most recent used hardware device. It's this one. Yeah, there you go. Oh, X input controller. Sorry. So yeah, X input controller for an Xbox controller. I think it's P input controller for PlayStation controller, and then it's KBM for keyboard and mouse. There are other ones, but I can't remember them all. So yeah, you can check them out. If you look them up, you can find them. Some good resources for that. But yeah, that's what that does. But it may be the same UE4. I cannot remember. It's been years since I touched UE4, so I can't remember. Unfortunately, I'll take it off now. Is the YouTube stream going okay? Because last time it went a bit funny, didn't it? Davis Simpson, I'm looking for a way to reset my puzzle systems, reset actor location, states, and stuff, but I want to fade my screen to black first so the player doesn't see anything. Yeah, I mean, fade into black's pretty simple. And then to move stuff back to how it was, you just need to have some sort of... It has to know where it was to begin with to reset. So usually when I'm doing something like that, I'll have an actor like this, for example, and on begin play, I'll be getting the actor transform and promoting that to a variable and call it start transform. Yeah, and then I build like an event in there to reset it. So it'd be like a custom event or function called reset, and you just do set actor transform to the start transform. Yeah. Like so. If you want them all to reset how they were, first of all, let's put something in here that we can actually test this with. Let's put a cube in, make that the root. I'll put simulate physics on, and yeah, that'll do. So I should be able to push this around, and then when I want to call the reset, it'll reset. So I want them all to reset at the same time. So a good way of doing that, when you want loads of things to react to the same input, you don't want to go around to each one telling them to do something. You want to trigger that call in somewhere common, and then event dispatcher it out for everyone else. So a good place for that is like game mode, for example, the player controller. We'll put in the game mode. Okay, and then we'll say on begin play, we'll do a timer by event. Let's say every 10, no, let's do for every 5 seconds. Actually, no, 10. Give myself time. Loop it. Custom event, call it reset. And I'll make an event dispatcher on here called on reset. Call on reset. Okay. Then on the blueprints for the actors I want to react to that, I'm going to get the game mode, cast to the game mode. What is it? First person, sorry. First person. And then bind to that. So it's just listening out for it. Bind event on reset. Okay, and that'll be that reset there. So that'll be the first part of the journey to doing this. So let's put this out a few places here. No one there. No one there. Okay. So if I go around and push these around, after a few seconds, they should teleport back. Yep, there you go. Right, but if you want to fade out before they do that, then that's all tied to that event dispatcher. So logic dictates then you want it to fade out before the event dispatcher fires, fire it off, and then fade back in. So let's do that. So I'm going to go ahead and into first person game mode. And before I do the call and reset, I'm going to do get player controller. And from there, not for controller, sorry, camera manager. And then from there, do fade. I'm going to do start camera fade. Now the way this function works is a bit weird. So you got to give it a from alpha and to alpha. So 0 and 1. 0 means opaque. 1 is see-through. So we want it to start at 1 to go to 0. Let's say over 0.5 seconds, and the color's going to be black. Okay, and we're going to tell it to hold when finished. Now the problem with functions is they fire off immediately after one another. So we can't just put in another start camera fade straight away to fade it back. Because it's going to not really do anything. So what you need to do is delay it or put a timer in or whatever you want to do. I'm going to delay it for argument's sake. I'm not going to worry about it. You could put a timer in if you want. But I'll put 0.5 there. In fact, I'll do 0.75. So it hangs around a little bit in the dark. And then put that onto the call reset. On the start camera fade then, I'm going to swap that round. So it's 0 from alpha to alpha 1. Okay. Still 0.5 seconds, still black, hold when finished. But I still don't want to do the reset. I'm going to do the reset then before. Well, it doesn't really matter too much because it's going to happen instantly. Before the camera fade begins. Okay. So we can do that. And if you want to be doubly sure, you can put another delay or timer or whatever you want to do after this, 0.25. And it will reset in the middle of the darkness, which is this bit here. So to test that theory out, we'll push this around, and then after a amount of time, it will fade to black. Oh, see what I mean? It's a bit funky. I think I've got the 0 and 1 the wrong way around. 1 and the other way. 1, 0. I'll do it again. Up we go, put it up there. And it will fade out, reset, and fade back in. Yeah. And mine's on a loop, so I'll do it again in a second. Yeah. So anything like that, you can easily reset. Let's say you want a central point to handle the reset, and then they're just listening to the reset. If they're resetting anything else about them, maybe like their mesh, color, whatever, you do that as well. You store that. At the moment, we're just doing transform. But yeah, you need to basically just store whatever it is you're trying to reset back there. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully that helps, Davis. Dandelion, any plugins yet that use natural language input to simplify blueprint editor workflow? I think there are a couple out there. Whether they're how good they're not, I don't know. Astronomy, when are you going to start the Design by Committed series? It started. We're filming it and editing it now. So the first episode will hopefully be out relatively soon. We're edited the videos. They're about half an hour long each, ish. Once they get cut down, probably, give or take. Some of them are pretty wild in their descriptions of what people wanted. But yeah, it's just filming it all. We're trying to make an effort to film a whole series before we release it, so then it comes out on a regular pace. We don't want to have it hanging around loose. So, but yeah, all your suggestions are still being put into like our bowl we got here, and we're just taking out the bowl when we film. We filmed a few episodes. Bum, 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 bum. Also, the third part of the arena shooter will be out this week for Patreon members, making that multiplayer. Fun Fruit Fitness. Hi, Ryan. How can you trigger custom error messages in the message log from blueprints? In the message log? Well, that's just print strings. That's all they are. It's not going to come out as an error message. I don't think you can. I don't think you have access to that. If the output log is going to give you where you put in your stuff. I don't believe. I'll double check. Don't believe there's a way of doing it. Raise script error. Oh, that could be it. An error code. Let's test that out. Delay it. Never tried it before, so let's take a look. Nothing. Raise script error. Let's check the message log. Are we actually using that controller? Oh, there it is. Yeah, there you go. It's not going to give you the error until it's not going to crash it out. You just get the error here. There you go. You can kind of do it. You can't. I mean, you could put it to quit, like you quit game, like that. Like yeah. So when the error comes up, when it gets triggered, you get your custom error, and you click on it and go to it. So yeah, you could do that. Obviously, this is only useful for development, like while you're debugging it. Not useful for in-game when you publish a title. When you want to do that, you need to build your own custom error support system, so players don't get crashed out games. They just get error messages, and you're trying to catch them and send them back to the menu, and then they can report that. Usually, you tie it to your gameplay analytics to check it and look at it later. Can you force the game to pause when an error occurs? Unity has functionality it's called error pause. Not really error pause. You've got breakpoints and things, that James is talking about, but not an error pause necessarily. Pipe Mac, how do you load a scene without the weird shader asset loaded flicker at the start of a streamed level? Is it possible in Blueprint without C++ like Lyra? It's a loading screen. That's all you're doing. You hide it with a loading screen. Be careful. Lyra isn't just Blueprint. Lyra has its own custom C++ built-in stuff. It is not a pure Blueprint solution. Often deceptive on that one. They've built a lot of customs, well, not a lot, but a handful of custom stuff in the actual engine for that project, which I always found was a bit deceiving, because they promoted it as this thing as like, hey, you can use this and build on it, but you can't. You can try, but you're going to be still stuck with what they've designed for Lyra and things. So yeah. Thank you, Wesley. Next question. How to go about creating a SID scan sonar system in a mini map? Whew. I mean, the you'd have your. I mean, we won't be able to build it because it'll take too long. But essentially, the logic would be something like the items that are going to show on the minimap will have a binding to the minimap itself, and the minimap will then run through a range ticker over in another loop. Okay, so maybe like a timeline or something. I don't know. It'll go through like this loop of like checking distance, and when it reaches that distance, that's when it will add or make the widget visible for a momentary thing. I can't really show it now. It will take up the whole hour or so. What can I do instead? Like, you'd have your looping timeline minimap ping. That'll play from start, and you had a float distance check. 0 to 1. Oh, 1 1. Length of 1, and then tick the looping button like that. And then on the distance check here, we're going to lerp it, and that's going to be the alpha. It's go from 0 to, I don't know, 2000. And then when no, because you don't want it to do that either, because how can you do that? Don't know. Like, I was thinking you could bind it, but the problem with that binding is that this is going to be constantly firing out, which you don't want. I think what you may have to do, if I go to my little cube thing and tell it to have to communicate to the widget for the minimap to add itself. The only thing I can think of is you have to actually bind it. I don't know if that's the most efficient method. Probably. I think, yeah, you'd have to like have this thing tell the widget, hey, add my icon to it or add my location to it. And then the visibility of the widget it adds, the icon widget, will be bound using the event binding stuff. So maybe you've got like a image or whatever, but you'll have like the visibility of it is bound to its binding here, which will check distance, things like that. That's probably where I'd start, but I would say we haven't got time to really go through and experiment with that today, but it's something to look into. Yeah, I'll look into it. Thank you, Pipe Mike. Can we use Lumen GI on top of bait lighting like you can use bait lighting and Lumen reflections? Want to use Lumen GI for emissive dynamic objects in bait scene due to performance? Not that I'm aware of. At the moment, not that I'm aware of. But I could be wrong. Oh, you're thinking of like that sort of load. Oh, I see, like that sort of thing. You could do, but the problem with that line trace is, I mean, you could do. Like I would probably. I mean, you could do, I guess, yeah. I don't know. It's something I'd have to experiment with. But I didn't think. I thought you meant like a pulse one, like that, like a sonar. Not. I don't know what different types are. How would you use get server world time seconds to replicate a match map time to all players for total time, or is it something you'd consider for replicating the FPS, for example? For replicating the FPS. Oh, okay. Replicating match map time. So there's two things to consider. One would be the actual match time. The other one is what's replicated across to everyone. So let's say, for example, you're in your game state, because that's where it should be, really. Game state. This thing on, let's say, begin play, for lack of a better event, we'll do a timer. Okay, so match timer. So we'll do set timer by event. Okay, and the event, we're going to return value here, promote variable, call it match timer, and let's say it's going to go on for 600 seconds. Okay, so 10 minutes. Then after that, I want to basically tell everyone else you do the same. This one, on begin play, we want to have switch has authority. This one is the one that matters. This is the one that the server is sort of tracking and making sure. So when the match ends, everyone will end at the same time. It may not sync up exactly with their clocks, but it will be as close as possible. Then, the match timer thing here. Oh, it's my controller. If I do, tick event, for example, get a match timer, and then I get elapsed time by handle. Print string, just test that out there. And the match timer here, I'm going to tell it to replicate. I replicated. It should hopefully create it at the same time for everyone. Should. Let's test that out. This is server. You go to Windows. Oh, there it is. Oh, I didn't actually set the game state. My bad. One sec. Andrew, there's a state tree AI tutorial coming out, if not already out. It's out on Patreon. But yeah, it's coming. Oh, come on, Unreal. Unreal 6, 5.6 is slow. I don't like it. The moment I want to try and do anything with it, it does this sort of rubbish. Oh, I need to also tell it not to cause that error to happen. Where did I even put that? Oh, maybe I don't have it anymore. Yeah, on the game mode, class defaults, game state. Yes, there we go. Okay. Oh no, I am hitting it. Where was it? Okay, set it out. Yeah, no, it doesn't replicate it. So yeah, not replicating it, it's just getting you 0 straight flat across the board there. That's fine. So, if that doesn't work, then the thing we have to fix then is basically tell everyone else to multicast out their own timers. So we make a custom event, start client timers, and that'll be multicast out. Set there. Client timer. And on tick here, we'll make it use client timer. Okay. Oh, maybe because I haven't got this hooked up to anything, maybe it's why. Yeah, do that. There you go. To do that. There you go. Fine. Yep. Although, why is a client 0 not firing? Should do. On all. Yeah. Should do it. Yeah, there. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. It's because the client hasn't been spawned in yet, that's why. Let's just delay this. It wouldn't be on the begin play. You would have it on something else. Let's just wait for everyone to turn up first. So give it 3 seconds before it starts the match timer. There you go. Okay. Then if someone joins in late, you then have to get that value and set that as a new timer for them. Okay. But yeah, that's time remaining to their client timer. But the match timer for the server side doesn't change. It stays as it was. Okay. You set a replicated via offset for when you start the match, as apparently get server world times already replicated. Yeah, server world times already replicated. Pipe Mac. Yeah, yes, I meant using C++ like a loading system in Lua. So bad English. How to know when shaders and assets are loaded in BP and then stop the loading screen. There's no way to do it inside of Unreal, like the raw blueprint. The best thing to do, you can go in C++, but the easiest solution, honestly, is just use the plugin that's for free on the marketplace. That's what I use as a shortcut. It saves loads of time. So yeah, just go to Fab. It's called async loading, something or other. Async loading. Yeah, that's the one. Get that one. It's free. Use that. Works a treat. But there's no way to do it inside Blueprint. There are sort of hacky ways around it. Which I've actually got a video for. You can see a sort of a hacky way around it. So when you go to load a map, for example, like let's say I go, I'm clicking to load a map. Okay, so we make a go to map. Okay, we made a function that does that. You could do a thing such as load primary asset. Okay, and you want to give it the no, not primary asset. Load async asset. That one. So you choose the asset you want to load up, which should be a map. So let's say it be the first person map. That includes all the stuff that's inside of it. It doesn't know. It doesn't do the shaders and compilers that well though. You may still get some hitching with that side of things, but this async load will tell you when it's finished loading that map into memory, and then like here you can do the create widget for the load screen, and then completed you can do the actual open level by name thing. Yeah. Or I guess you could do open level by reference as well. Open level. Yeah, like that. No? Oh, whatever. You can do open level like that still. But as I said, it will work in the sense that it loads up all the assets, but the shader may not kick in exactly. It doesn't like pre-compile the shaders. In that case, you may want to delay the start of the level a little bit behind a black screen or a fade or loading screen still, whilst it still does that. But no, if in doubt, use the async load screen thing. A lot quicker and easier. Okay, let me just scroll down here. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, TH Game Dev, yeah, you'd use the post login to notify when people connect and then just grab the match timer, set a new timer for the client, and away you go. Wesley, do you have a video where you do a game structure, usual best practice? I mean, there are so many videos out there, but most of them explain in different ways. Look like your way's really clean. What do you mean by game structure? Do you mean like the way you present the code, or something else? Let me know, Wesley. Pheno. In a multiplayer shooter type game, where should persistent variables such as stats, points, damage, etc. live if I also want NPCs to have them? I was thinking the player state, but NPCs don't seem to have one. So stats like that would exist on the controllers. Your NPCs will have controllers too. So there's a player controller, there's an AI controller, but they both share a common controller object. So you can put it on the controller object to make your own controller object. You can also put it onto the actual enemies themselves, because they are going to be persistent too. You can put it on the actual enemies and it'll replicate them just fine as well. So it doesn't really matter where you put it in that sense, because it's going to be replicated no matter what. But yeah, I usually just leave it on the NPC itself. They're directly on on the characters themselves. It will save you a lot of actual. You're welcome. Have you used a new MetaHuman creator? I looked at it for about 10 seconds. I've not used it in here yet now. But yeah, need to. Wesley, no, not the code. It's related to an actual game core component. It's like overview about best practices. Okay, I'll give you an answer what I think you mean. By all means, correct me and redirect me into different location. So the thing you want to do best when you are breaking things, like when you're building out your game, is to break it all down into as modular as possible. Um, your key word is scalability. When you're building any game or any project, you want it to be as scalable as possible from the get-go. The worst thing to do is to build a project or vertical slice or something that only works for that vertical slice, and the moment you have to scale it up by 1,000-fold, it becomes problematic. So you start building modularity as much as possible. When you're building modularity, it means in not just the sense of like everything broken into different classes, but different functions as well, be broken out into different things and so on. So, like, I mean, I've done a video about how I organize my projects and things like that, and we answer similar questions there. But yeah, you want to try and break it down as much as possible into various different things. So, I don't know. So, like, on the first person character here, I would probably have different components that that will give me scalable options. So, for example, I famously make on my inventory series the inventory component, a component that is separate from everything else. I just attach onto the actor. That's because I realized when I got started, first of all, when coding things, is that the difference between a player character and a chest in terms of inventory is that the player character just has legs. That's all. So why not have the same functionality, same code, same logic that's on the player character and put it onto the chest as well? So that's where that came from, is that thinking ahead and thinking, wait a second, rather than doing the same go twice, I can just put it into a component and duplicate it across that way. So that's usually what I do, and what you should do, really. So you're just constantly breaking things down. Like, your event graphs shouldn't be complex. It shouldn't be like overbearingly loads of stuff going on in here. Like, it should look kind of like this. The main graphs is just like this most of the time. Everything should be in functions and things like that to keep it tidy. That's generally the spirit of it. Whenever I am starting a project as well, I also make my own version of everything. So what I mean by that is, on the game modes, you have game session, less so game session, but game state, game player controller, player state, HUD class. All these, I've usually made my own versions of each one. Reason being is I can then go in and edit them, add stuff to them, whatever I want, a lot easier. So I tend to do that. Yeah. Is that what you mean? Let me know. I don't know. Hang on. Fino, do you just pass those through on spawn to the next character when you respawn? Also, thanks. Yeah, you'll respawn and you just pass those on to. If it's something that's going to be persistent, that's going to exist, like level, for example, leveling will stick on the controller. But for things like health and damage, that probably belong to the actual character, because when they die, you want their health to reset anyway. But yeah, usually like you break it up into those sort of terms. TH Game Dev, have you considered working with other developers to support with your channel and help people who may need support, Ryan? Yes. Yes. It's not an issue. Yes, I have considered it. I've tried it. The problem is it comes down to funding. We simply don't have the donation support in place to be able to pay someone to do the job as well. I definitely want to. It's something we're currently looking at and have been very busy doing at the moment, is hunting down for investment and grants, things like that, to help build out something a bit special, not directly channel related, but something akin to it, that it would support not just like what I do, but lots of other subjects as well. So it's something, yes, I'd love to do. It comes down to just pay, be able to offer people this money, because it's not a quick, easy job. It's something you have to pay people to do, really. And then after that, it comes down to management as well. And then it gets to that point where it needs to scale to a point when I just become a manager and just manage different people doing different things, and I'll just dip in and out when I need to. But yeah, we're at that stage at the moment where we want to expand, want to grow, but keep getting hammered down for various reasons outside of our control, to expand and grow the company further. There are 100% business plans in place to bring on a lot more people. It's just getting that investment or donation increases or anything like that to help bring extra income in. So if you haven't supported the channel yet, do consider supporting the channel over Patreon. It will allow us to do more interesting things and bring on more people, bring on more voices. We are going to be experimenting with some stuff in the near future, to try and streamline a lot of that stuff and try and get room for growth in it. But yeah, if anything that can support the channel really will help. Real time fact man, have you tried using gameplay tags in a project? What is your opinion of them and their efficiency? Yes, I have. In my current project I've been working on for the past week. I think they're great. They have great uses. They are. I think people don't understand them too well. But it's one of those things that the more you use it, the more you'll understand where they can be used. They're basically just fancy booleans and things like that. It's just another way to make identifiers for progress tracking. So there is some really handy things to do. I think I demonstrated it in that video with the progression tracking. If you haven't seen that video yet, I showed an example of how gameplay tags can be used for progression tracking for a game, for a linear type game or maybe an open world type game, to see where the players made it up to. That would be really useful for like a save system, because you could save the gameplay container pretty easily. So yeah. Queen Elizabeth, hello. I have been brand new to Unreal for around 2 to 3 months. Welcome. I want to learn blueprints. I'm pretty familiar with UI and all that, but I can't seem to understand blueprints. I can only do basic blueprints. I watch YouTube courses, but they seem to be following tutorials. But they just seem to be follow tutorials. Can't learn anything. Can you give some advice on how do I learn it? Yeah. So you're not doing anything wrong. So I'll tell you how I learn it. I mean, how I try to teach it the best I can. I do fall short on that sometimes, I admit, but I try my best, and I try to correct it when I realise it. I have the benefit of coming from a programming background, so a lot of the stuff you see in blueprinting is quite synonymous with actual coding. But needless to say, to understand how something works or how to achieve something is kind of more. It's more of a problem-solving solution rather than an actual programming solution. Once you know the problem-solving solution, then you can do the programming solution. What do I mean by that? So, let's say I'm doing we'll do the basic one that everyone starts off with, a door. Okay, a door. Well, you always start with door, by the way, because doors are really interesting things you can build a lot of functionality into. So it's quite a good example to build on. But anyway, needless to say, if we look at a door, the functionality and operation of a door is pretty basic, but we can break it down into individual parts. And the core thing to understand about games programming, and generally all programming, but definitely games programming, is the cause and effect sort of notion. That everything happens because something else happened. That's why we have these events, for example, yeah? Like begin play, actor hit, overlaps, all that stuff. So, understanding that, then you need to go, okay, what I want the door to open. Okay, so the question then becomes why does the door open? When does it open? How does it open? answering these questions is super important. So that's what we usually start off with, and we'll sit down and just, like, if I were teaching you in a session, that would be my first thing to you, is like, answer these questions and answer them. So, and write them down. So, how does the door open? When does it open? And what happens? Yeah, just generally. So, the door doesn't just open magically. What is the trigger for it? What causes the door to open? Okay, well, if it's an automatic door, then it's when the player reaches a certain location. Okay, a certain location. So I've got a few options there. I can measure the distance the character is from the door. I could totally do that. But that feels a bit inefficient, because if the player is like 10 miles away, I don't want the door to keep tracking that. That kind of feels pointless. So I'm thinking, okay, well, what else can I do? Well, I could do something like an overlap. So when the player walks into an area, something would happen. Yeah, and that's how doors in real life work. Doors in real life are watching an area and checking if anything overlaps that area. That's what they're doing. They're not keeping an eye on where you are in the world at every single moment in time. They're just watching a certain area. Okay, cool. So in that case, then an overlap will probably be best. Okay, now if I know an overlap is best, that's the first part. The next part is then, how is it going to open? Okay, is it going to slide? Is it going to swing? Is it going to teleport? I don't know. That is the next question to answer. And for each one of these, you kind of break down each answer down into as many small parts as possible. Once you've got those small parts down as possible, then you can kind of flesh out the stuff you need to put into it. So let's say we are doing a door. I would think about, okay, I need, like, if I just ignore all of these functions in it, I just put in the things I need it to do. So what events do we have? Okay, we have open door, we have a closed door. Those are the events that happen with a door. Yeah, you can lock door, unlock door, maybe. So you put in different events. So open door, custom event, lock door. So break it down into those events first of all that are happening. Okay, so as we said, how does it know when to do this? What are the triggers for this event? It's not going to just magically do it. What is the trigger for it? And the trigger for this will be an overlap. Okay, cool. We'll add an overlap to it. So actors are just a bunch of components stuck together. That's all they are. So this actor, by default, only has a scene root, which is like a scene component. In that case, I'm going to add in here an overlap. So just do box. You'll see box collision. And if you're ever unsure, like, people always ask the question, like, how do you know what functions exist, what events exist, what components, actors, etc. How do you know what exists? One is you just read it. So you look down the list and see what matches kind of what you're trying to do. The other option is to type in keywords. Okay, so I would start off with the keyword. If I'm going in completely blind, I want to make an overlap. Okay, so I'm going to search for the word overlap. Nothing comes up. Okay, so now I think about what are synonyms for overlap. Okay, or what in what kind of terminology would you expect the engine to use for overlap? So then you think, okay, collision. Hey presto, we've got collision. Now what shape we've got? Box, capsule, sphere. No wrong answer. Yeah, there's better ones than there are other ones. Totally up to you what one you pick. It's just a shape after all. It's just the same thing. So that's my overlap. Okay, cool. It's not going to do anything. Why? Because I haven't told it to do anything. It doesn't know. The best thing, best advice I think I've ever given to people is that just to remember that computers are stupid. They don't know what to do until you tell them what to do. They can't just assume stuff. Yeah. If I told you to open a door, you would assume a lot of information before that and actually open a door. Computers aren't that clever. They need information. So this thing needs to know if that's been overlapped. Okay, so here I'm referring to this thing in particular, not meshes, not sound effects, not visual effects. I'm just talking about just this overlap box. In that case, I'll want an event directly tied to that thing. Well, as actors can have functions and events, so can components. So I can either right-click on it and look at the events it has on it, or I can also do the same thing. I can go over here on the right-hand side, scroll down. You see them down here, the same ones. Oh, my sensitivity's gone all a bit screwy. There you go. So we got like on component begin overlap. So again, I'm just scanning with my eyes what makes the most sense. Begin cursor over? No. On release? No. If you're unsure of what they mean, just hover your mouse over it. So let's say physics volume change. What does that mean? So delegate will be called when physics volume has been changed. Yeah. When component activated? No. The thing I'm looking for is something to do with overlapping. So here's overlap, begin overlap, or end overlap. Which one do I want? Well, I want it to trigger as soon as the player enters that field, not when they leave it. So begin overlap is going to be the answer to that one. Click on that. Gives me the event. And now you've got information. This is our information here on the right hand side. We've got information to send across. We know what to do with it. Hey presto. We're halfway there. So now we've got the information. We now want to just call, alright, cool, open door. Nice. Boom. But generally speaking, 90% of the time, you want to design functions and events to have a middle part. You have like the initialization part, the first part, the end result, but in the middle you have a condition normally. And the reason why you have a condition is that you usually want to do a check to make sure that the thing doesn't operate whenever you want it to. It has to operate when it is allowed to. So what is the condition for this door to trigger the overlap event to open the door? Okay, well, let's think about when I want it to open the door. Maybe I need to have a key. Maybe it has to be to make sure it's the player only, not NPCs opening it or bullets opening it. Maybe I want to check if the player's health is high enough, whatever. All these various things I would check here, my condition check, my condition. And then it would do execute the open door, and that would trigger the open door stuff. Yeah. So start off breaking down the initial problem. And if you ever struggle to find your function event, just right click and look in the search box and just type in some keywords. Yeah. Turn off context sensitive as well, and you have access to the whole engine library of functions. Search for what you want. So when I'm really stuck, this is what I do. I'll turn it off and I'll just look around and look for, like, I don't know, project. And like, cool, okay, we've got projected, deproject, cool. Suggest projectile velocity, that's a neat one. And I'm looking for things that are relative to what I'm looking for. Yeah. You know, I'm not doing anything crazy here, so I'm not going to do anything, but I would search the keywords here. And if I'm picking up something, so maybe I'm doing like let's get one in particular that shows it off best. Yeah, so here we have limit velocity. Okay. So the other thing to understand when it comes to functions is the target value here. The target value is important because it tells you who is or what is running that function. Who does that function belong to? So as you can see, open door here targeting itself, and that's because the door belongs to itself. Yeah, it's calling itself there. However, this thing is calling a projectile movement component. So this target won't work unless I have a target that matches this target here. Self is not going to work because this self is just an actor class, not a projectile movement component. So a lot of the time you're just trying to figure out how to get to this target reference. But yeah, and it goes on and on. There was obviously a lot to learn. But generally speaking, you want to get used to the idea of just breaking things down a lot. And start with something small and simple. Don't go in thinking, oh, I want to go ahead and try and make a full-blown combat system. That's not going to be helpful. And what you eventually do, get into a spot of, is you'll make it, it'll work. Great. Next time you make it, it'll be very different because you've learned a lot from the first time. Next time you make it, it'll be different again because you've probably seen other people do it and you're going, hey, that's actually quite a good implementation of that. Or you might take ideas from it. And you're constantly just iterating on it and going forward on that. So when I'm making stuff, most of the time it works out very differently from the previous time I made it. And that's just because I'm human. I'm not a machine. I'm going to change things as I go. And learn from my mistakes. Find more efficient ways, quicker ways. For myself, especially, to make things. And so that is where that sort of idea comes from. Like, you're not going to go straight into this and be able to pump out whatever you want. It is going to take iteration. So once you've made one thing, make that same thing again. And my tip is when you're following like tutorials, which you'll start seeing with the new survival series when it comes out, is the idea of challenges. So um, usually I'll try when I'm teaching it in an actual setting. I would give people challenges to do. So basically, you've learnt, I've taught you something. I want you to take what I've taught you and remix it to make it do something a bit different. Yeah. So a common one I often get people to do is make a door. I'll teach them how to make a door, and they'll say like, okay, using everything you've just learned, you can now make an elevator. Make an elevator, and A plus they can make an elevator. It uses exactly the same knowledge and know-how. It's nothing new. It's just a matter of rethinking the problem. And so give yourself those sort of little challenges. Like, okay, you see someone else make something, go, okay, I'm going to try and make it with this little twist or spin on it. And that's where you're going to learn the most. But yeah. More importantly, TH game dev, programmers forget stuff all the time. I forget stuff all the time. The amount of times I have to go back and watch my own videos because I'm like, I made it before. How the hell did I make it before? And I've forgotten stuff, or forgotten a node exists, or whatever. It happens a lot. Happened today, and there's still some stuff that blows my mind. I'm like, I don't know. And yeah, James is right. Queen Elizabeth. It's impossible to learn all this engine. I don't know all this engine. I know a lot of it just because I use it literally every single day for the past almost 10 years, I think. So, you know, that's going to help. That's going to be beneficial. But I still don't know everything. It's impossible. It's just too much. So, yeah. Yeah, James is right. You'll learn eventually just to iterate and refine things. Yeah, C++, yeah, GitHub is going to help you remembering things, yeah. Always remembering stuff. I always forget. Making a door I can do, I think with my eyes closed, I've made so many of them. But, you know, it's like making any, like, oh wait, I said this last week, someone asked, do you have any analogies for game programming? And I always compare it to cooking. And it's kind of true. Like, eventually, like, at some point, you have to follow recipes to make a cake. But then you'll first, maybe the first time you'll follow the recipe, but then next time you'll be like, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to add honeycomb to it. Like, okay, cool. Well, that's a bit different. Let's try that out. You experiment. That's how you learn things. And eventually, you've done it enough times, you don't have to look at the recipe book anymore. You can just get it going. You've got the foundations. The rest of it is up to you what you want to do with it. So yeah, it's a lifetime of knowledge. It's never going to be like oh, yay. What you're striving to get to is the position where I'm at, which is someone throws a problem at you. Can you figure it out? And it's happened many times in this live stream in the weeks past, where people have said, "How do you do this?" Or like, "I don't know. Let me figure it out." And it's happening in that design by committee. There are people asking for stuff that I have no idea how to achieve. I'm just trying to figure it out live for people. But what I always hope people glean from that is how I'm figuring it out, how I'm learning it. And I try to verbalize my thought process and how I'm problem solving. And it usually starts off with the hypothetical breakdown of what it is I'm trying to build. Usually, once I come up with a solution as well, I'll hypothesize and predict outcomes for future work. So I'll come up with a solution for a project and be like, okay, but would it work if I did this to it? And I'll think about that in my head, and I'll run through the code in my head rather than code it all out. And most of the time, I can figure out right there and then if it is something that needs to be scrapped and retried or remixed in some kind of way. But if not, sometimes I'll have to actually build it out and see if it does work. But I'm usually hypothesizing ahead of time and thinking, okay, will this work for future stuff in the game that I'm going to build? Because I may be building a door now, but I may be thinking, actually, I'm going to need a door eventually where the player has to unlock it with a key. Will this work with a key? And I'll try and build it with scalability in mind in that sense. Asmund, good to see you, man. Hi, Ryan. Hope things are nice. Could you show an example of how you would set up the new claim mode for smart objects in Pipeline 5? Ooh, I don't know. I haven't looked at the new claim mode node yet. Something else I've got to go back to and look at. But no. Sorry, I can't give you much more information than that. I haven't yet looked at it. Are even smart objects even turned on by default yet? Because they weren't before, were they? I won't bother doing it now because we're about to end, but I'll look into it as a thing. Yeah. Yeah, like pie. You cooking, like the kitchen is often a very good analogy for a lot of stuff you do in games. I find, very similar. Ziplo, is there a different way to create a rail grinding system without using the move along spline technique? Just curious if there's a more physics-based option. I mean, you could do a physics-based option, yeah. You're still moving along the spline, because you need to lock the thing down to a spline. If you want to do a physics-enabled option, you obviously simulate physics, but then you want to constrain it. So when you have a object like this, for example, oh, hello. You can set its constraints here, and I do a custom plane. Click on that, and the plane normal will be the normal of the spline, and you can obviously do it in code, and then you just boost it in one direction or another. Yeah, that'd be the way to do it. But I guess so. I haven't tried it, but that's what I would do. That's what I expand. So, for Queen Elizabeth and everyone else's sake, why did I come to that conclusion? Let's explain. So, if a physics-based solution, the problem with a moving along the spline type thing is it's very linear in its approach, that you just move a certain amount of distance along a spline. Okay, so I want the physics nature of moving along a spline. So I need to constrain it in a couple of ways. So if it's physics enabled, it has to be a physical object like this. So I can't use a player controller, player character movement, because that won't work, because there's a constrained plane there. But I did know there's a constraint option for physics, just because I've experimented, iterated, played around with it. And I knew that there's a mode for it, and by default it's just wherever it was, the default. You can change different planes. What I wasn't 100% certain of, because I couldn't remember, is there a custom plane option? I don't know. I just clicked, and hey presto, custom plane. So I see a plane normal, sweet, I can just pass that through, and it should stick to that line. Cryptic Rose, hello, do you work with new studios? If so, how would I contact you privately about moving towards a minimum viable product? Yep, okay, good question, I'll show you. So just head over to ryanlaley.com, and if you want to hire me to work on projects or consult or any kind of thing, you've got a couple of options. The first thing, if you want to see what full services I offer, you can go to services, and you'll see them all down here. And with this, you can book a free consult. Okay, you click on that, it'll take you to the free consult, which you can book now, go through the system and book a consult. That's a 15-minute consult, completely free, but you do only get like one every 6 months or one every year, so you can't just abuse it. But if you, in that consult, it'd be more of a case of like deciding, okay, I think you would benefit from hands-on direct interaction, like I'll come in and actually work on a project, versus, okay, you may be all right with just screen sharing over sessions. If you want sessions, they're here, or you can go up to services, book a session, and you have access to sessions over here too. And you can book a single session, 10 for options, whatever you want to do. If you're a Diamond Patreon member, you get a free session every month. You just click on this link here, log in with Patreon, and you can access it and book your Patreon Patreon session there. Okay, so that's what you do if you want to book a session or hire services to work on games or projects. Worked a number of people's minimum viable products and getting them there. Also production, published products as well. So yeah, but yeah, book the free consult if you want to make sure, check to make that I can help you in the right way. That's fine. Yeah, just give it a shot, Ziplo. That will have to do for today, unfortunately, as we are out of time. And I think what I'm going to do as well is I'll show you the progress on a little project I've been working on. One sec. I think I showed it last week a little bit. What I might do is at the end of each stream just show a little bit of it as we go. As I am adding bits to it as I go. And I made some good progress onto it. So let's share it off and show what I've been working on. So this game is my Balatro inspired dice game, based on a real dice game called Farkle. Some of you may already know it or play it, but yeah. So we've made some good progress on the project. Some sound in there. That sound effect was me going in the mic, with editing. So roll it. And you're looking for triples and or anything else, either like 4, 5, 6s, straights, 1s or 5s. So in here I've got no 3. Yeah. Oh, I've got 3 pairs. Sweet. So I'll click on here and get my 3 pairs. This bit's a bit bugged, it doesn't show the flaming effect on the dice to indicate it. But if you get all 6 scored, you get a bonus roll, which then rolls again. And you're trying to get as many points as you can with 6 die. And you get, in this, at the moment, you get 6 attempts to reach the target. The target's not real yet, but over here, and if you don't score, you lose all your points. So you have to bank the score safely. So here I've got 3 6s and 2 1s, so I'll chuck them all in, and I want to collect it, rather than risk that 1 die. I'll collect those points up. Bang, boom, bang. 3,000 points. Second collection. Here we go. So it's going to be like a Farkle type, it's going to be like a Balatro type thing. I think that's what I've got in it. Yeah, we'll roll again. In that you'll have what I'm calling gambits, which you can then boost or buff your dice. You can also change the sides on the die, so there can be different values. So you can have not just the normal 1 to 6. You can have like one. You can have one with like 2 sides of being. 2 of them being 3, for example, or there's 3 6s on one side, or a wild card on one side, or whatever. This game, by the way, makes use heavily of gameplay tags to solve a lot of its problems. Bugger. So here, you see, I've screwed up. I've got no scoring points here, so I'm going to lose my 50 points I've got in my score. So I'll hit Farkle, and away they go, and I go to my 3rd collection. I can also do re-rolls as well. You start off with 3 re-rolls, and if you save them all, much like Balatro with discards, you get bonus money at the end of it. Oh look, another triple pair. Nice. And you'll be able to upgrade the scoring system as well, to get bigger things on it. Yeah. And you see it's got this cute little pixel style. I'm just going to do that. We'll gamble it. If you also, for each roll, the multiplier goes up. So you could eventually get some pretty high scores. Bugger, Farkle. Damn. Lost 1,800 points. The dice are physical objects that bounce around. I'm using an orthographic camera to project it, so it looks 2D. And the dice are doing a normalization check. So basically, it looks at its the z-axis and pointing it, and compares the dot product of z-axis with the up vector, the forward vector, and the right vector to determine if it's the numbers, whatever number it is. Oh look, I've got a 4 and 2 pair. Bonus points. You'll also be able to like change like the material of the die. So this one's a stone one, which gives you bonus points if you use it in a scoring hand. Got 333, 1 and a 5. I'm gonna collect that. I've got a good bank there. 2 times 500, good 2,500 points there. Nicely done. We'll gamble it. Roll again. Here. Collect that. But there also is like some strategy involved too, because the multiplier goes up for each roll. You may get a point here where I've got, like, say here I've got 2 1s and 2 5s. Now I could score all of those. So a 1 gets you 100 points, yeah, and a 5 gives you 50 points. So I could score them all and get 300 points. But I could play it safe and go, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to score just a 5, roll it, give myself a maximum chance to get a higher score. And because the multiplyer's gone up, that is going to be worth more. So here I've got the exact same result, but I will now get twice as many points. But you have to score before you can roll again. So we're going to gamble it one more time. We're going to hit another 5, roll it again, and hope we get at least a 1 and a 5, if not a triple. There's a 5 there. Okay, I'm not going to risk it any further. I'm just going to collect that. But now I've got 350 points out of it. Yeah, and you could eventually go up quite well. And there you go. You've got bonus points and things like that. Round end, you get bonus points. Done. And yeah, no, that's it. I haven't got that far yet. So yeah, that is where we're at with that. The way the upgrade system is going to work as well, I'm experimenting with that. I'm thinking of doing like a Monopoly type board where you roll the die and you move around the Monopoly board, and you can choose to purchase the space, which will give you the upgrade, or do something to get the upgrade. Or I don't know, something like that. I like the idea of rolling die to solve something and make a little roguelike out of it. And yeah, it will be roguelike. So when it's when you fail, that's it. It's over. You're back to square one. The thing you do unlock is the ability to add different dice to your bag, essentially. So for each collection, you get different dice rolled out. So you can add new dice to the bag whenever you want. Yeah. But yeah, there we go. That's Farkle. That's what I've been working on so the past 2 weeks. It's been good fun working it out. The way the level works, by the way, is that we've got this basically big box containing it. And everything in here is set to ice. So it all slips and slides off each other. So, because the problem was the dice kept getting stuck on the wall and leaning against it. I didn't want that. So, they slip and slide all over the place. So they're bouncing around all this and they're told not to render. May get something else out of it. Yeah, there you go. 1, collect. Making a Ludo game and the board is 3D. What would be a good way to accept user input from which actor was clicked? Or which path was clicked? Which actor was picked? You can do it with actor on clicked function. To do that, you have to enable it in the controller. So, for example, in here, if I go to my controller, you have a setting on there called Enable Click Events. You also probably want mouse over events as well. And then and then on the actors themselves, when you've got that enabled, that would run the actor on clicked event, which does all this stuff. And I'm going through cleaning this code up as well, bit by bit. But yeah, you'll run that. So that's how you determine actor on clicked. And the pathwise would be the same thing. It's just your path would be an actor, and you pick that. Yeah, board games. Been interesting trying to figure out how to make board games in video game form. Been a fun experiment. Yeah. But yes, anyway, we'll have to end it there because it is getting late. But we're back again live tomorrow, hopefully, with a playtest of Mimic with hopefully it fixed. What I've done with that is I've basically rolled everything back to basics. So I was trying to do too many fancy things with camera movements and things like that, and it's causing all sorts of weird stuttering issues. I've just rolled all that back. So it is as basic as I can make it to see if I can get it working first, and then we'll iterate and add stuff onto it if we can. But for now, we're leaving it like that. But anyway, thank you very much everyone for your time. If you want to support the channel, head on to patreon.com/Ryan Laley. Donation of just $1 gets you access to all our videos early, plus other benefits too. Massive thank you to everyone and their support over there, especially your patience as well. This month has been a bit of a dry month for content, and that's just because we've been busy filming stuff. So the content, the wave is coming. Just bear with me. We're just editing a lot at the moment and getting that done. I'm in fact going to be filming a bit more in a minute. So thank you very much everyone. Have a great night, and I'll see you all tomorrow for our live stream tomorrow night. Bye everyone.